welcome to the Female Founders Pitch Finale presented by Alexa Startups and Women in Voice. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a chilly November day here in New Hampshire, but I'm excited to close out our 2022 pitch series with the amazing founders, VCs, and advisors we have on stage with us today. We know our community extends all over the world, so please share in the chat where you're joining us from. While I dive into some quick fire polls, I believe. Maddie, do you think you can launch the polls for me?
Oh yeah, I got you.
Thank you. We want to know a little about you, our attendees. So who all is here? Are you a venture capitalist or angel investor, a voice professional in the field? Or maybe you're a voice tech fan and enthusiast just looking to learn some more. So I'll give you guys a minute to respond to these polls. Ooh, lots of voice professionals in the field today. We've got 6 out of 9 participated. Okay. All right. Well, I do want these to be quick fire polls, so I think we'll 7 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Anybody want to get any last minute answers? Yes, no? Who all is here? Venture capitalist, voice professional, voice tech enthusiast. Okay, we're going to call it at that. And then if we could, yeah, so these are the results. And then second poll for me, Maddie. What are you excited for today? Are you excited to learn about novel tech use cases? You're here just to celebrate women founders, learn more about entrepreneurship and pitching. What's it all about? Maybe you're trying to get ideas for launching your own startup, or maybe you're a VC investor looking for startups to invest in. Ooh, so far we've got a lot of people here ready to celebrate some women founders. Get ideas to launch your own startup. Awesome. Okay, great. Wow. All right. Thank you. Thanks for the support, Maddie. So my name is Kayla Pitts. I'm the head of marketing and membership for Women in Voice. If this is your first time joining us, let me just quickly close that. If this is your first time joining us, let me just share a little bit about Women in Voice and what we do. We exist to celebrate, amplify, and equip women and gender minorities in voice technology and conversational AI. We have 21 chapters across 6 continents, and we celebrated our 4th birthday this year. We live into our mission through building inclusive community with chapter events and membership, hosting career events and workshops, and by creating opportunities for female founders through our office hours and pitch events just like this one. Pictured here are just a few of the talented women and companies we've had the opportunity to hear pitch.
This is one of my favorite slides, so.
Oops, let me go backwards. We've met some amazing founders through this event series, and we're excited to continue making an impact in the voice system. So here are just a couple quotes, one from a pitch attendee and one from a founder who pitched at one of our events. Before, I could never see myself just starting my own company. I just couldn't envision myself before, but now I really can. And people talk about diversity and underrepresented founders, but you have actually brought some true rising stars to the table. So to speak more on that and our partnership with Alexa Startups, I'll hand over the mic to our moderators, the first of which is Women in Voice CEO, Maddie Apple.
Thanks, Kayla. Love sharing about WIB's mission. This is an amazing community. The more time you spend here, the more incredible women you're going to meet. So I don't want to hold us off any longer. I'd love to meet some of our VC panels. So again, we're here to celebrate women. We're here to amplify the amazing startups and products that these women have built specifically today. And that lives into our mission as Kayla just shared. So what I love about this pitch event is that we have an all-star cast of women pitching and also an amazing support panel of women VCs and advisors. So I'd love to introduce you to Jenny Shi from Alexa Startups to tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah, well, thank you again. What a show. Love how we see all the windows or tiles are all women. It's usually not the case on our everyday, which we are definitely on the path to change that. I'm Jenny Shi. I currently lead the global business development for our Alexa startups. As a former venture-backed startup founder myself, I definitely are very excited to hear more of us are also involved, also encouraged to show up and really change that stats globally, and passionate myself leveling the playing field as a mentor and investor aside of my day job. So, but this is the beauty is I get to do this on a daily basis as my day job as well. So thank you for all of you and looking forward to hear the pitches later. And if I may share a little bit about just Alexa Startups. Alexa Startups, as many of you know, that we are the voice tech when before it become popular in our daily everyday life. So Alexa Startups is definitely still on that same mission of partnering with our startups to drive Alexa integration, not only just driving the ROIs, which is the return on investment for startups, and also delivering for our joint customers. In addition, my main charter in Alexa Startups is really focused on underrepresented, underestimated founders globally. So I'd love to have this opportunity to see more of our lighthouse examples coming out of the partnership and the pictures today and in the future events that we can share that experience and example for developers and startups globally. With that, we'll hand over to the next VC panelist.
Hi, it's my pleasure to be here. I can proudly say that I'm the first wave of people join the woman in voice community, and I'm also have been in the conversational AI, voice AI for the past 7 years, and marketing, advising, and supporting. Voicing AI. And then actually I have executed the M&A in voice AI, actually conversational AI, and also as an investor, current investor in voice AI. My day job, and I work I work with CEOs and boards, advising M&A, and then also marketing strategy and go-to-market, and work very closely with women entrepreneurs and as advisor and also investor. So thank you.
Paula?
Yes, thank you, Mari. Hello, everyone. My name is Paula Quintana. I'm pretty passionate about supporting women and anyone with an underrepresented identity. What I do, I work for High Alpha Innovation. It's a venture studio. And what that means is that we repeatedly build and launch startups. So I hope that I'm able to share with you some of the learnings that I've gotten while working at this company as we think of building pitches, because I do this a lot continuously throughout my work. So I hope that I can share some of my learnings that I have with all of you.
Hello, everyone. It's my privilege to be here surrounded with so many amazing women. My name is Manal Belaouane. I'm with XTVue Capital, which is a fund here based in Germany. I'm based in Berlin. XTVue is one of the largest funds that we have in Germany and a very big player in the European scene as well. It's a generalist fund, so we look at everything B2B, B2C, you name it, really. I think everything conversational AI, generative AI are topics that are very close to my heart, and working alongside minorities, underrepresented founders, women is such a privilege. So happy to be here, happy to answer any questions, happy to be the friend in VC that will challenge, but so that you can only be more prepared, right? So yeah.
Awesome. What an amazing panel. I'm so excited to dive in. Before we dive into the pitches, we would be remiss not to take the opportunity to talk about bias in the pitch room. This is a fun topic, but it's real. And so before we dive into the pitches, we'd like to take a moment to take a practice example of how each of us applies our own unique lens to the same information. And so we're going to do that with some abstract art. If you've joined us before, you'll know that this is an exercise that we've been inspired by from Minda Bruce at First Row Partners. So all credit for this exercise goes to her. So what we're going to do is we're going to show a piece of art for 30 seconds, and everyone is going to be silent. And after 30 seconds, we'd love to hear what you saw. And I'm going to specifically ask our VC panelists what they saw, but anybody can chime in, whether on the chat, founders, you can raise your hand too. So it's really, without further ado, we're going to display a piece of art. Ready for the 30 seconds of silence? Oof. Okay, all right, we've removed the piece of art, so you can't refer to it anymore. It's all in the past. So I'd like to start with Jenny. Can you tell me a little bit about what you saw in that painting?
Lots of colors, happiness, and the unification of different shapes.
Yeah, Paula, how about you?
I agree. Like, as soon as I saw colors, I thought of positive emotions. I don't know if only happiness, but then I thought of a flower because somehow there was like a middle and like things going around it. And even talking about biases, like I've been watching Andor with my boyfriend, and then I thought of like it looked like something like almost like teleportation, recency bias, just because it's in my mind recently. So those were the things that came to my mind.
Yeah, it's interesting. Someone is saying, Kayla, it made her think of candy and the internet. Do you want to expand on that at all, Kayla?
Not much to expand on. All of the movement seemed to be coming from different places, but funneling somewhere else also. And I think the candy came from the colors. The colors made me think of candy.
Yeah. Okay, I see a vortex of energy rising up, says Melanie. Any other thoughts from our VCs or founders about what you saw, how you interpreted this piece of art?
I see galaxy, and I see worms. I see friendship.
Yeah, and Iryna, was that you?
It was me, Ursula.
Oh, Ursula, sorry.
Yes, no, you're fine. I saw spaghetti and meatballs. And talking about bias, maybe it's because I'm a mother and I'm thinking what my kid is going to have for dinner. So that's probably why I saw that.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating every time we do this exercise to see friendship, yes, a center of energy. It's how can we put words to these abstract things, but there's huge ramifications when, somebody is presenting and the different ways that we can all interpret information, both as it's presented verbally and on a screen. So I think this is fascinating, and there's so much more to be said about this topic, but we have a lot of amazing pitches to get to. So we'll put a pin in this and say, thanks for checking your bias today. And we're ready to get to the meat of this event. So I would love to invite Iryna to pitch Lexemic.io. And how this is going to work is Iryna is going to have 5 minutes to pitch. And after that, we're going to follow up with a 3 to 5 minute Q&A with our panelists. So Iryna will give you a 1 minute warning in the chat when you have 1 minute left. I'm sure you'll be great. And you can start sharing your screen whenever you're ready, and we'll count you in. Who's ready?
I'm ready. Can you see my screen?
We can see it.
Oh, okay, nice. So let's start. My name is Iryna. I'm from Ukraine, and I happy
to tell you about our Leximic. I also help skill owners to manage their skill content and save their money, save their time with help of our content management system. And how I do this, I will tell you now. So beside the startup, I run a voice agency, you heard, where we create custom voice skills for Alexa and for Google Assistant. And every time we hear questions from our customers like, oh, Iryna, why do I need to pay money to change text in my Alexa skill? Or why should I wait so long to see the new updates? So, we think that our customers are right because business paying high prices for the minor changes. So we decided to help them and create a content management system our customers will be able to manage content by themselves in real time without developers. So that's how Leximic was born. Leximic is the first content management system for Alexa and Google Voice applications. Currently, there are a lot of different devices with voice assistants, also a lot of voice applications in Alexa and Google Store. And this market is growing rapidly. The skill count for Amazon Alexa has grown to 80,000 in the United States. There are 23 Alexa skill categories, and most popular are music and audio, education and reference, games and trivia, and lifestyle. And there are 7,000 top-rated Alexa skills in these 4 popular categories. And these top-rated Alexa skills are our potential customers. We plan to earn money using the subscription model with 3 plans: Plan Simple, Comfort, and Unlimited. And this is our target customer. It's business owners who have Alexa skill or Google Actions. This is brands and agencies that create voice skills for Alexa or Google Assistant. On this slide, you can see our competitors, freelancers. It's affordable. Also developers or agencies, but it's expensive. Maybe you heard something about Jargon, but Jargon was already acquired by Remitly and no longer exists. So Leximic looks like a good solution. And now I would like to show you a small demo, but first I need to share my screen. Before the presentation, we create a test skill. I have Alexa Echo Show here. So let's invoke the skill. Alexa, open Women Founders.
Got it. Hulu.
Oh, sorry for that.
Please link
Alexa,
your accounts.
Cancel. Alexa, home screen. Alexa, open Women Founders.
Hi, everyone. This is Iryna. We welcome you to the Leximic presentation.
So I would like to change maybe a little bit Alexa's response. And for that, I would like to share my screen one more time. I hope you can see it. This is how Leximic is looking for now. And here we have our test skill for women in voice. So we have here our launch intent. And let's change, for example, Alexa respond, hi, everyone, this is Iryna. And let's change for example, woman in voice, and just simply save our changes. I would also like to change the screen because we have our whole team today, our woman founders. So I can do this in the tab. I have image URL. I will copy it and just change it. So and here we see the changes already, and just save screen. And now I need to stop share my screen. So let's check. Alexa, open Women Founders.
Hi, everyone. This is Woman in Voice. We welcome you to the LexiMIC presentation.
So thanks God, everything's okay. And yeah, we changed our response, Alexa response, also the picture. And let me share my screen one more time and get back to my presentation. I will try to be brief. So as you can see, LexiMIC is fast, LexiMIC is cheap, LexiMIC is safe. With LexiMIC, you can store, update, and change text content, visual elements, and video content, also add or change audio or voices. And this is our team. And as per money, we are looking for 12 months financing to develop new features and attract new customers. So we look forward to attract from $300,000 to $500,000. And that's all from my side. Thank you. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer.
I'm going to pass the mic to Paula. Well, first of all, thank you, Iryna, for your pitch, everyone. And I'll pass the mic on to Paula to kick off our Q&A.
Thanks, Maddie. And thanks, Iryna. This was great. I think before I even ask a question, I want to say that I love when I can see a demo and in real time that change in a pitch that creates so much conviction about your idea. It's super powerful. So I love that you did that. I think my first question is related to something that we really think about is we want to fall in love with the problem before we fall in love with the solution. And that's something that we always try to build on a pitch. So my question is about more of the problem. I love that you told your story because it makes me believe in you because you are capable of solving this because that's your day-to-day. But could you paint a better picture of the problem, not only your clients? I saw the total market, but what are founders or anyone that will be using your product? What is your product allowing? Like what weren't they able to do before? So help me paint a better picture of the pain. What's the problem that you're solving?
Regarding the problem, yeah, as I said, we have our customers and they had, we create skill for them, but if they have already a skill certified and in use, so they want, for example, change, do some minor changes, change the date, change the color of the button. So for that, they should go to, I don't know, some looking for some companies, pay salaries, I don't know, looking for example, for developers, and it's all cost and it takes time. And if they will, I don't know, maybe use our system, they will not spend so much time and so much money for all those process, for I don't know, for explaining, for gathering different requirements and so on. But yeah, I agree. We will maybe a little bit fix our presentation regarding this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from our VC panel?
You may have shown it, but I didn't see it. So what do you, sounds like you are actually really shorten the time to market in terms of introducing a Alexa skill or Google skill and allow people to customize it. And but it seems like there are a lot of players in the same field. And what do you think is your defensive strategy, or what's the risk of your product technology?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Well,
maybe.
So what do you think you have created a barrier of entry for competitors that allow you, to be more defensive about your company and your business?
We have a lot of different ideas how we can, I don't know, maybe we have also an adoption strategy. We're working with different companies which help to promote our startup. We plan to also work with different, for example, events or different companies who help to go on the market. I'm not sure that
not a problem, not a problem. And it seems like you have created a lot of skills. And have you chosen a one vertical to go after? What is your go-to-market or customer adoption strategy? Have you chosen the very first market to go after?
We currently working almost with the healthcare companies, so in the healthcare domain. So we also propose our customers to use our CMS, and we see them as our users. Yeah.
Thank you.
And maybe one question from my side, if we still have time, is first of all, congratulations. I think it was very convincing in many ways. Also the live demo, congrats. Is your product scalable outside of the Alexa world as well?
We think yes. We have also our roadmap, but unfortunately, I don't have so much time to show you. We plan to move maybe with IVR, also different messengers. We think about that to create those another channels of communication in our content management system. But first, we need to finish our work with Alexa, and we have also we think about the Google, because we know that they a little bit pivoted their business with the Google Actions. So, but yeah, we think about that. Thank you for your question.
Thank you so much for your pitch, Iryna. Thank you to the panel for your questions. Yes, let's give Iryna one more round of applause. That demo was awesome, and we're cheering you on. So keep us posted on your updates, Iryna. Next, you're welcome. Next, we'll welcome up Caroline to pitch. So Caroline, let us know when you're ready.
Okay, I shall just share my screen.
Sounds great. I love seeing all the support in the chat too.
Cool. Can everyone see that okay?
Looks great.
Lovely. Okay, so I'm Caroline Laurenson, and this is the story of my journey to create Kindspace. See if that goes on to the next slide. Sorry. So a little bit about me. I am a huge music fan. Always loved it. Singing is actually my go-to thing. So whenever I'm feeling a bit out of sorts and need to release all my emotions, and that's what I do to boost my well-being. So here is me, age 4, acting in the school show as a chicken, as you do. My actual background is very unusual. So I studied chemical engineering at university. Worked for 2 decades in the oil and gas industry, and the latter part of that specialised in decommissioning, so cleaning and dismantling offshore infrastructure like that in there. And then 4 years ago, kind of on the verge of burnout, the oil industry is quite a challenging place to work. Decided dramatically to quit my job and do something completely different. And now I run a smart home technology company with my husband, Thomas. We set that up together. We're based in the northeast of Scotland. And our team is quite small. It's myself and my husband Thomas. We have a trainee voice application developer based down in Glasgow, and we have expertise in quite a lot of areas, even though the team is small. We've been working mainly with a housing association, so we help them with all their tech, and we specialise in helping people to maintain their independence in their own homes using off-the-shelf consumer electronics. And I think what's quite interesting about our journey is when we started, we thought we'd be like the plumbers of the smart home world. But actually what we realized is that, for a lot of people there's barriers to adoption, and the people who can benefit from these technologies the most are actually the least likely to be able to access them. So we feel really passionate about that. And then along came the pandemic and we couldn't go to people's houses anymore. It was a really tough time, with people being vulnerable and shielding, and that's our customer base. That's who we support. So we looked at how could we support people remotely. So this began with us going live on Facebook every week, teaching people how to use Alexa to stay in touch with their loved ones. So that vital connection when everyone was at home. And that kind of took us on a journey in that we realized that there's apps for voice assistants, and actually that space is really interesting, especially in the well-being space. So we decided to do something to help our customers specifically, and building something that would help with their well-being and help alleviate anxiety and loneliness. And so that brought us to building Kindspace. So Kindspace is an award-winning application. We recently won a hackathon that was an EU-funded competition, and we've been to international conference to present on our work, which is really exciting. So Kindspace, it works on the Amazon Alexa smart speakers. It's available across the UK, US, Canada, Australia, and India. It's a specially curated library of tips and advice and signposting. And there's a really nice quick check-in that people can do every day to find out more about how they're feeling and their kind of energy levels. And it gives them personalized recommendations from the tips library, depending on how their check-in scores are. And more recently, we've introduced interactive wellness activities, so things like journaling and breathing exercises. And then if this works, which I'm not sure if it will, we have a lovely video. I might need to exit this and do it. On this file. See if we can get it to play. So we recently won a competition. It was £10,000 worth of advertising with XTVue, which is the main TV channel in Scotland. And it does not want to play. No. I wonder if I put the link in the chat, people could watch it later if they like. It's just a quick 30-second clip, so it tells you a bit more about how Kindspace works. I feature it in the advert with my daughter. She was a superstar. She was so good. So yeah, I will pop a link to that in the chat rather than trying to fix it. And you can let us know what you think. Maybe get in touch on LinkedIn. That's where I like to live. And then just on this last slide, it was really to talk about what's next for Kindspace. So we are looking for some support in terms of funding. A big part of what we do is community orientated, in that the tips database is me basically asking everyone, what's your go-to thing? And then we curate that all specially into voice accessible information. So it's very much about digital inclusion, making that information accessible and helping to address challenges of loneliness. So the community side of things, what we really need is a community manager that will help to drive our growth. So some funding around that, and the advertising campaign that's running at the moment across Scotland, we've had really good response from. So it would be fantastic to be able to expand that advertising across the whole of the UK. So funding towards that as well would be wonderful. And that is me.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Caroline. It's great to see not only just what your original business idea was in true startup founder fashion, that you're identifying new problems and being able to provide solutioning in such a short time, especially during the pandemic. So I will send it back to our VC panels for Q&A. Manal, you want to start?
Yes. Sorry, you called my name, right? Because my connection was a bit spotty.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Absolutely, Caroline. Thank you so much. I think this was such a refreshing presentation. It's a brilliant solution. It seems very well executed. Would love to hear more about it. I did have a few questions that I noted down. So you mentioned that the suggestions that you gave people were personalized. How so? How do you personalize the suggestions that you give people?
So at the moment, that is done through a logic-driven matrix. So we have a bank of 32 questions that look into different well-being aspects. And then we have a database that's split across 10 different well-being categories. And I've created a matrix that cross-maps the questions against the tips. And then we have a logic-driven algorithm that pulls out whatever a person scores low on, it pulls out the appropriate categories. And that is a stepping stone for us into doing something more sophisticated. So AI is definitely something we want to incorporate. So I'm actually off to Canada on Sunday on an AI mission with the Innovate UK, so a government-funded trip to meet AI experts, which I'm really excited about.
Brilliant, lovely. And that's available in English only. And do you plan on having other languages as well?
Yeah, so that's the other thing that's really exciting about our trip, because we are off to Montreal, which is French speaking. And then I mentioned the other competition that we won, so the EU funded competition. As part of that prize package, we went to Lille to present our findings, and we're actually hoping that we can do more work with the organization over there. So again, the French speaking side of things. So that would probably be our next our next development plan, is looking at how we go about doing that. And it's tricky because it's not just a translation exercise, in that the content is locally specific as well in terms of how we signpost people. So there's a lot of research to be done, as well as the language translation.
Okay. And the monetization aspect, so do people buy a membership or a subscription to this app?
So we operate with a freemium model. So things like the check-in are free, and the tips, access to the tips database is free. And then the new wellness activities we have introduced subscription. So things like our breathing exercises is £1.99 a month to access the full suite of exercises.
Okay, thank you.
That's great. Do we have other questions? Shing?
Apologize. So I love it, and so this is a B2C business model, and what is your current adoption users, number of users?
So the number of users, so prior to our TV advertising campaign, it was only about 600, but we've easily doubled that, and our advert's only been running for a week. Being a bootstrapped startup, it's really difficult to do any kind of marketing, and social media is a very steep learning curve as well. So we're working on user adoption, and trying out different channels and things. So any advice on that area would be most welcome.
So have you thought about partnership, partnering with digital health companies, or even company like Nike, or the Internet of Things companies that
so partnerships is another area that we've been investigating on the kind of product and services side, but then also on the content creation side. So we actually, next week are going to be going live with our new short stories. So we met this amazing writer that does really beautiful bedtime stories for adults. So we'll be launching a little kind of taster of that next week. So yes, partnerships also, and then even things like the shopping actions that have come out recently with the Alexa capability. It's looking at how do we build in those kinds of opportunities but don't detract from the user experience as well.
Definitely. We got 30-second warning here. I want to just quickly pass it on to Paula. I know you had another question.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we have enough time, but I just wanted to say, Caroline, this was great. Thank you for telling a story as we're going through the pitch. I think that really helps for anyone to stay engaged and pay attention to you. I don't know if we're gonna have time, but my question was more around how have you tested the product and like understood that it works, that people are liking it, or how do you plan to do it?
Yeah, so when we originally built it, we did we used the Google Design Sprint methodology. So we did a lot of kind of user testing and beta testing. And now since we've won this EU funded competition, we have the opportunity now to do more in-depth user research and look more quantitatively at things like, does it address issues like anxiety, and compare that against medical reference points. So that's the kind of strength now of having that connection, because that's what they specialize in. So we've got connections now with academic partners who are helping to write our what's called the research protocol. So I'm in a very steep learning curve just now, learning about that, the medical side of things and how we can use that as a way to it will strengthen our marketing to be able to say, well, it reduces anxiety by this much, or it improves loneliness by this much.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And that's exactly, you're already firing all the powers of a founder, being able to quickly pick something up and lead the next track and learn, and regardless how steep the learning curve is. Up next, Maddie, who is up next? Oh yeah, let's give a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for sharing, Caroline, and thanks Jenny for that Q&A round. Up next is Anna. So Anna, you can get ready to share your screen, or whatever you need to do. Let us know when you're ready.
Amazing. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Perfect. All right. I have an important question for you guys. Do you listen to podcasts? Chances are you do, and you're not the only ones. In fact, almost every other consumer in America listens to podcasts and can be reached through this amazing, authentic, engaging, respectful medium where their favorite hosts are sharing about the products and services that they love. And because of this very special delivery of the ad, 88% of podcast listeners actually are open to hearing podcast ads and love them, which is why over 70% of them have actually bought something after hearing a podcast ad. That's a staggering amount. And today's consumer brands have actually understood that. They're looking for a new, engaging, respectful medium to reach their customers, which is why podcast advertising is actually growing at 70% year on year. For reference, that is double the pace of the general internet advertising growth. But it could actually grow even faster. Podcast advertising could be a $100 billion industry in America alone, enabling thousands and thousands of brands to reach out to their audience through this engaging medium. But here's the problem. Podcast advertising is broken. If you want to advertise on podcasts today, this is what it looks like. You have to go through a tedious, slow, manual, old-fashioned process of filling up forms and waiting for someone to get back to you, jump on sales calls, back and forth emails, somebody sending you PDFs and Excel sheets. It's tedious, it's messy, and frankly, it's a huge barrier of entry to new brands that want to start with podcast advertising. It is crazy that in 2022, you can buy anything online with a click except a podcast ad. Well, we decided to fix that, and we built Zvook, the first platform to click and buy host-read podcast ads. We are transforming the slow, old-fashioned podcast ad buying process into just a few clicks and minutes instead of weeks. Our platform helps brands identify the most relevant podcasts across any network, across any budget, vet them on the platform, put them into cart, and just check out, as simple as buying books on Amazon. Our platform is powered by AI and a proprietary knowledge graph that we've built. And one of the most exciting things is that we are actually able to gather first-party data on audio advertiser behavior that's currently completely missing from the audio advertising space, because all the buying is being done on emails and phone calls. So we're basically building the future of podcast advertising with the platform, enabling thousands of brands to reach out to their customers through audio, and enabling thousands of content creators be discoverable by brands and monetize their content. We've raised pre-seed funding with some leading VCs and angels, and here's what we've done so far. We have indexed 1.7 million podcasts in our knowledge graph. We've signed up over 30 networks to the platform, including some of the biggest networks in America, like iHeart, NPR, PRX, and so on. We currently have over 5,000 podcasts on the platform, bookable instantly with a click. We launched our MVP earlier this year, and we've done $700,000 in transactions from brands like Panasonic, Emerald McCann, Sigmatic, you name it. So we know that customers actually love what we've built. We've also analyzed 55,000 hours of audio to help us with the recommendations, and the ads that have been bought through Zvook have generated 20 million impressions so far. Not too bad from a team of this size. We are very small and scrappy. This is our team. We've also had some people kind of come in and out as part-timers. And right now, we're actually gearing up for our official public launch in March 2023, as well as our seed round. So what we've done so far is we have truly built a world's first marketplace for brands to buy host-read podcast ads with the click of a button. But we want to take one step further. And I want to wrap this up with a little teaser that's been actually on our roadmap for a very long time. What if we could build the world's first podcast ad buying experience using voice? So we believe that transferring from the old-fashioned podcast advertising process with agencies and sales reps into a modern podcast advertising process with a self-serve platform could actually be propelled by a voice assistant, Alexa. We have already done all the heavy lifting with our platform. What if Alexa could actually find you podcasts that would love to endorse your brand and guide you through the platform from the discovery until the purchase? If we have, with Zvook, already built the platform that allows you to buy podcast ads with just a few clicks, imagine if you could buy podcast ads with no clicks at all. No back and forth emails, no PDFs. You don't have to do all this manual process. All you have to do is just Zvook it. And that's us.
Yay. Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much. I'll pick up the VC panel conversation. First of all, thank you so much for the energy that you're bringing to the table. I think it's amazing. You're so behind your product. It's such an interesting space that you're working in. Would love to hear more about it. I'm going to ask you two questions so I can, give some time also to my other VC panelists. What does the end result look like? That wasn't totally clear for me. And let me maybe just explain my question. So I listen to podcasts all day, every day. Literally, I wish I could be paid for this. And say you're listening to a podcast and then the host would just say, hey, we're being sponsored by la 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 la, and then the story continues, right? Would this still happen the same way, except that the podcast host didn't have any contact, maybe personal contact with that person? He just received through Zvook like an order or something? Like, what's the user experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's exactly how it happens right now. So a brand goes and purchases, the platform helps them identify the most relevant podcasts based on certain criteria that they put in, and they're able to literally, the platform actually recommends you certain number of ads and all that, but you can also adjust that yourself, and then you can just basically click and go buy, after which the podcast gets notified. And because they've all signed up and claimed their podcast, they're aware that they are getting advertisers through our platform. So they can still confirm or decline, which usually they would confirm. And then they'll receive the ad copy that we then get from the brand. Right now, everything post-purchase happens right now through email. We haven't had a chance to build it into the platform yet, but going forward, that all is going to happen in the platform. So it's all transparent on both sides. But the beauty is that they don't have to speak with one another to do the back and forth, being like, what's an ad? How much, how long is it? How much does it cost? What if I do this? So you basically are removing all the back and forth and like days of this chaos that happens in our inboxes, and you can just purchase and then hear your ad read live.
I see. Nice. Yeah. Adding a layer of transparency in this industry, I think, is super useful. One last question from my side. How do you ensure quality control and that no sort of sensible topics are being, advertised?
And what do you mean by sensible? You mean like brand safety from that perspective, or?
Yes. And also that the end message isn't, detrimental to any group or any, or any, be it political, be it societal. How do you ensure sort of quality control in that?
Well, so we don't necessarily, we obviously kind of leave if there's a buy-in from both sides, then the message is good. I mean, we've never really had anything happen so far. So the ad copy comes from the brand, and then the host usually reads the ad copy or reads the bullet points. And as long as they both, for example, we do have some CBD brands that have used the platform to advertise a podcast, and not all podcasts would want to work with a CBD brand. That can be considered to some as content that they don't want, which is fine. We have specially actually carved out a group of podcasts that are open to working with CBD brands, and so it's a match. So for them, that's great, right? But they would not be advertising on a podcast that doesn't want to do CBD, which is the beauty of host-read ads. It's not inserted automatically. It's not like a programmatic insertion. So you can definitely have more of a say on the quality.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wants to jump in?
I'm trying to understand. I think the potential is quite huge, and so I think I'm not a very often podcaster. My children are, and then but how do current podcaster receive the you have ad on your podcast, right? So I'm thinking the way you do it potentially is less disruptive, because you don't require kick and kind of get rid of the ad, but you're maybe a little more efficient. So can you speak a little about it?
Yeah, so you're bringing up a great point, because there are two types of podcast ads. They're host-read, so the host endorsements, and they're programmatic, that are announcer-read, pre-produced ads that are just inserted. They're very similar to radio ads, very disruptive. And host-read ads are the ones where the host reads them. They can be dynamically inserted, but the host is still reading them. So it's still their voice and they're still endorsing the product. And majority of podcast ads actually today in general are actually host-read podcast ads, because to your point, they're way more efficient. People are way more receptive. That's why so many listeners love them. So we and our platform doesn't actually do the ad insertion. We're not really an ad tech. We're a marketplace essentially that uses AI to make sure that you're able to purchase that inventory, because right now there's no one place to purchase inventory across all podcasts. You have to go to different agencies, different networks, different independent shows, and try to piece all that together yourself. So we're actually bringing that all and streamlining that.
Do we have time for a last question? Hi, Anna, thank you for that. I want to say thank you for helping me fall in love with the problem. I think that's when, before you even talked about the solution, I wanted to know what the solution was, because I could see how big of a problem this was. Just more of a curiosity. So I heard more of US statistics and mention about the US, but for example, I listen to a lot of podcasts that are not US hosts. Do you have any plans, or do you already have in place a way of that international expansion? Is that something that you're thinking about?
Absolutely. So Europe first, then Latin America. And Europe are actually going to go as soon as probably next year, after we raise our seed round. I come from Europe myself. I have a lot of connections in the space, and there are certain markets in Europe that are definitely ripe for that. They're a little bit behind US, but still kind of getting there. So we want to be the first ones. And then Latin America, which is really picking up in terms of listenership. And so those would be the two markets that we are going to expand to. Yeah.
Great. Very interested in both of those markets. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. I think that's time for Anna's pitch, but that was a lot of fun. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Basis, for
Thank you.
great questions. We're really excited to see those next steps, so keep us posted. And up next is Liyani. So everyone give a warm welcome to Liyani Rodriguez and let us know when you're ready.
Thanks, Maddie. I'm ready. I'm just going to jump in here. So hi, everyone. I'm Liyani Rodriguez. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Rattle. But before Rattle, I spent nearly a decade in professional services. I was advising companies on their road to IPO. But as a woman of color moving up the corporate ladder, and many of us may experience this here today, it was just a constant struggle to feel heard. And this was in real life meetings. But I'm not alone in that. We're not alone in that. Every single day in virtual meetings, there's employees who do not feel heard. That could be introverts, marginalized community members, those who don't speak English as their first language, new grads, and others who are just disengaged and really not reaching that maximum potential, which really leads to ineffective meetings. And that alone is costing companies $399 billion annually. So this is where Rattle comes in. We're building a voice AI meeting facilitator, and we foster inclusive, engaged, and effective meetings so that both employees feel heard and teams can reach that maximum potential. So let me back up and talk about the role of a traditional facilitator. What they do is they improve the way that a team communicates, engages, or makes decisions in real time. So that's what our AI does. It uses voice as a primary input, and then it produces real-time prompts and lighting as an output to either individuals or to all attendees in the meeting. And so to build our proprietary facilitator algorithm, it's based on decades of collective team experience in our team of 4 in meeting facilitation and engagement. And then we coupled that with data that we derived from human facilitating hundreds of virtual meetings ourselves, and we learned a few things. So I want to share those learnings with you real quick. So first and foremost, virtual meetings are fixable. That's just the first understanding. We can all agree that there's been some broken meetings. They are fixable. What we know is that a meeting that is led by a trained facilitator, it increases equitability, engagement, efficiency, and psychological safety. All things that we need for collaboration and creativity. Most of the core functions that a facilitator does, they're repeatable enough in order to be automated. And this is all good news, because what we also found is that leaders would rather participate in meetings and be a present member than facilitate their own meetings. So I want to talk about, dive into one of the most common examples, which is over-talking. We may have all have an over-talker in one of our meetings, and I'm going to show you just a quick couple product screenshots here. So you're looking at our speaker meter, which runs alongside a Zoom chat. As a speaker speaks longer and longer, Lottie, our bot down here, it'll prompt them first simply to bring awareness to the speaker that they're over talking, and then it'll aim to redirect. So a few different prompts with the certain intentions. I might say something like, let's hear from some voices we haven't heard from yet, which is a very common facilitator phrase if you've ever had one in a meeting. Some prompts will go to the speaker directly, and some will go to everyone in the room in order, which is a proven facilitator technique. All the attendees will also be able to see speaking time, because what we learned is that just showing folks speaking time, it's how you can start to have change behavior and how you can lead to self-correction, which is essential for having equitable meetings. What we do know about over-talking is it's a not so silent collaboration killer. It really helps causes under talkers to not be comfortable speaking up. Some of our beta testers are early stage startups, creative agencies, teams at Shopify. We also were recently selected to speak at Morgan Stanley's Innovation Summit, and their feedback, we just got it a couple of days ago, so I'm excited to share it here, was that Raddle is a compelling and necessary product in the workplace. What we know is that every week there are 55 million video meetings in the US alone. 90% of those meetings are either on Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meets. Those are our 3 core integrations. We have a basic SaaS model of about $10 per seat per month. It's been tested and paid for in the market. And as a team, we have the expertise to build this. We have experience from facilitating from IDEO and Udemy. We have a social thought leader on our team from UMass Amherst. Our CTO built one of the first AI models, which is a sync authenticator at Kictronics. And one of our key advisors is Bradley Metrock. He's a thought leader in voice and one of the CEO of Project Voice. And some of our backers are Techstars, Right Side Capital, Latitude VC, Andy Ballister. He's the co-founder of GoFundMe. And we were recently awarded $100,000 of non-dilutive funding from Google for startups. I'll end with this. It's a common question. The definition of Raddle is to interweave. And so we are really trying to create a space to interweave new perspectives and create a space for true collaboration. So I would love to dive deeper in one-on-one. Please calendly.com/Liyani to grab a time, or my email is Liyani@getraddle.com, and I'll drop them in the chat. Thank you.
I'm going to lead the Q&A, and yes. I actually recently, I have to say that the most recent practice of a lot of conferences that I have been participating in is hire a personal coordinator, right? And then the result, it's pretty expensive. Yeah. And it's not very, not all results are good, okay? So I'm actually really like this idea. And I think you have done a great job presenting. So one thing I would like to understand is that each meeting is has a certain goals and a certain personalization, customization. How do you facilitate that? Because you can't just put an AI and trying to real time to analyze and then facilitate. So what is the prep work that's required to do that? That's one question. The other thing is I'm definitely interested in, of course, your go-to-market strategy. You know, you mentioned about Zoom, you mentioned about, are you thinking about, do you have an integrated product? What's their, acceptance about your product? Things like that.
Yeah. So first I want to speak to the first question, what is the prep work? And it's funny because we actually, and I'm happy to share this, did a case study of what are all the elements to make a virtual meeting good, aside from what we're doing with facilitation. And one of them is prep work. And so one of the most common requested features, and Morgan Stanley actually requested this too, is for templates. And so one of our earliest features on our roadmap right now is templates, where a leader can choose different meeting types of templates. We also have suggested ones with speaking time. So if that means the person who booked the meeting should be speaking 40% and attendees are more at 20%, that they can set that, and then we can still layer our prompts on top of that. So it's a combination of those templates and AI in order to do that prep work and have a truly successful meeting. To your point also on facilitators being expensive, yes, they're about $8,000 to $10,000 and they're normally hired for a full day. So we wanted to take the effect of a facilitator and offer that into every meetings. And even if you're a professional facilitator, you can still use the data that comes out in order to make the conversation better. On the go-to-market strategy, so actually we spoke with the Zoom app partners team last week and just became official Zoom app partners. So they are going to be our first integration, followed by Teams and Google Meet. And so that is well underway. We expect to have our Zoom app launched early in January. Yep, I think that was all of them. I don't know if I missed any questions there.
So other, panelists, feel free to ask questions.
I can go next. I had a question. Well, first of all, thank you for that pitch. I love that you made me fall in love with the problem and the solution. And also because I believe your team is able to do it, because I love that you talked about the experiences of your team. So I thought that was really powerful. The question that I had was more about the product. I heard that you said one of the value adds is that over talkers, right? Like it prompts other people to talk. So I'm more curious of what are other of those values that you're adding? Because I think I'm struggling to see what this bot or application is doing during the meeting.
Yeah. So our whole goal is how do we shift conversation in real time? And so over talking is one example. There's also under talkers. There's also just giving people, when you create a sense of someone is here leading, it helps increase psychological safety. And so ultimately that's what we want to do. The way that you increase psychological safety is by prompting in different ways, by doing lighting. So if things are feeling very tense, or there's certain language terms, having blue lighting to kind of cool the situation. And so different elements in order to ultimately create psychological safety. One piece of this is also we can't control what the corporate culture is. And so we really look to talk to companies that want a truly collaborative corporate culture.
Got it. Thank you.
And I saw a question come in. Can I answer it really quick on what does Zoom think of Raddle? It's funny because I was at an event with the CEO of Zoom, Eric, and I chased him down after the event and was like, this is what we're doing. I want to know that this makes sense because we are allowed to put a lot of time and resources into Zoom. And his answer was, we absolutely need this. We need to open creativity and collaboration, and we are doubling down on Zoom apps, which is how we got connected through Eric to the Zoom apps team. So thanks for asking that question.
So how much are you raising, and what are a few high priorities you want to use the money for?
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. We're raising $1 million round. We're about 60% of the way through with that round. And this is to get the Zoom app fully launched with 2 enterprise contracts. Which are currently in our pipeline. We have about 5 large enterprises and about 10 mid-market creative agencies currently in our pipeline.
Any last questions? We're about out of time, but if there's any last questions y'all want to sneak in, go for it.
Maybe I have a quick question. Absolutely love your products and absolutely love your energy. Bravo, really amazing. I'm going to be a bit sneaky and challenging here, but who is the competitor that keeps you awake at night, or what is the main thing that keeps you awake at night?
2 different questions there, but the number one, the number one competitor is Read AI. I'll just be completely honest. They are taking a very different approach in terms of just adding lots of bells and whistles and lots of data as you're doing it. We definitely are more taking that human element, and we aren't giving you tons of data in real life. During the meeting, we are just giving you what you need so you can stay focused on the conversation like a true facilitator does. So, but in terms of the underlying technology, Read AI is the number one competitor out there. What keeps me up at night? Many things. One of the things really was is Zoom going to we're relying heavily on Zoom. That conversation with Eric absolutely helped kind of make me sleep a little bit better, but it's been you're putting all your eggs and relying on another platform.
Yeah, great answers, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we'll give Liyani, thank you so much. We'll give you a round of applause for your amazing pitch. And you have so many exciting updates coming up. So keep us posted on how everything goes. We want to be sure to support your launch on Zoom and Google Meetings. So Google Meet.
Thanks for having us.
Amazing. Well, it's time for Ursula. It's time for your pitch. We're ready whenever you are.
Awesome. So I'll share my screen. There. Can you see my screen?
We can.
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. So I'm Ursula. I'm founder of Cuentología. And I like to start with this snapshot of real life. This can be any weekday afternoon at home, right? But if we double click, we can find that, double click, there you go. We can see that the little boy is playing Roblox and maybe feeling a little bit insecure with a cyber discussion he's having with his friends. The mom is probably reading a parenting tip blog or seeing an Instagram live about it. And the little girl is just drifting away in YouTube, just playing next video, next video, next video. And if we frame these three different problems we're trying to address, we're talking about a mental health alert in which 1 in 5 children has a mental or emotional disorder. If we're facing a new generation of parents in need, because we're trying to raise our children in a totally different way that we were raised. We're also talking about screen over time, when almost half of the kids spend more than 6 hours a day just plugged to a screen, and this can bring emotional disorders. That is why me and my sister, we created Cuentología, that in English can mean astrology if you want. Cuentología is immersive audio content to improve our children's emotional development. In Cuentología, you will find podcasts and audio stories based on real parenting needs and contextual needs. For example, how to explain a war to my children, or an audio story to explain divorce. All of our content is endorsed by expert. Actually, we have a psychology as part of the team. And every one of the audio stories come with a complementary parental guide with tips on how to use the audio story to overcome the challenge with your children. And of course, our amazing screen-free audio format produced with great Latino voice actors that bring our characters to life, original music, and amazing sound effects to really feel that you're in the middle of the forest in the middle of the night. We believe that audio has so many benefits for children, starting with concentration, for example, teaching them how to follow a story from the beginning to the end without getting distracted, without getting anxious or interrupting. The diction, we mentioned, we produce this with professional narrators and voiceovers. So we're talking about perfect pronunciation and, for example, emotional vocabulary, not only in the words around emotions, but how emotions sound, how expressing your feelings sounds. Empathy, or at least the foundation of empathy, because we're teaching them how to listen to others. Introduction to literature, because many of them, we're talking about small children from 3 to 8 more or less, so many of them don't know how to read yet, but we are teaching them how to fall in love with storytelling, and stories in general. So once they're ready, they can genuinely, organically look for new stories. And of course, imagination, since there's anything to see, they're just imagining everything they hear about. Since we launched Cuentología 3 months ago back in Latin America, we already have 4,300 active listeners in the platform, and 90% of them are Cuentología promoters. But the best thing is that we have more than 300,000 minutes of children unplugged to the screens and using their imagination, just listening to our audio stories. We know we can impact a lot more. We're talking about 40 million Spanish-speaking kids out there with an audio industry, like Anna mentioned, that just keeps growing every year. We want to try our US product market fit, specifically a product Hispanic market fit, because we know that by 2030, nearly 30% of the school population will be Hispanic or Latino. But for example, none of the 100 top ranked children podcasts are in Spanish. We know that almost 60% of these parents say they want content that celebrates their culture. So we are we're trying to solve this huge lack of quality content offer for this big demand. Of course, we have competitors, but the majority of them are in English or more towards the academic subject and not the emotional one. Of course, we can stand out even more if we start implementing AI and voice tech magic, like we like to say. For example, recommending the stories that your child needs that day specifically, based on how he's feeling that day specifically, or interaction with the characters, maybe a voice chat, talking back and forth with them, co-creation, recording a part of the story and just being a part of that story, or even voice commands like choosing your own adventure or the end for this story. We truly think we can become that top Latino ed. Of course, we invented that term, emotional tech with impact in early childhood. Me and my sister were both mothers. The rest of the team are also parents and mothers too, facing the problem we're trying to solve. And we have many years of experience working with family-oriented brands. This is Cuentología for more connected families, empowered parents, and self-confident and creative kids. Thank you.
Great. Who's ready for the first question?
What is your content strategy? Where do you acquire, do you create your own content or do you do licensed content?
Yes, great question. It's 100% original content. I started writing all the stories, and once I saw this was a big business opportunity, I started reaching out freelancers, and you would be surprised by how many people want to write stories. Like amateurs. I have many moms and dads sending me stories all the time. And me, because I've been a creative director working in advertising, like former creative director before Cuentología, I have the skill to just curate and edit the creative content and putting it in a more strategic way.
Do you think you open the platform to allow people to submit the content, or you thinking about your team would just be the only content creators?
That's super interesting. We always think about it because we dream with this kind of creative crowdsourcing and pushing creators economy forward and just inviting everybody to be part of this. Of course, we need to have some kind of Cuentología seal or because we're talking about curated audio content for children. But I think that can be automatized too. And we know that our next step, at least, is having this invitation in the app. Do you want to write to Cuentología? Do you want to be a voiceover to our stories? And at least having them reach out to us. That's like the immediate next step for us.
What was the decision? What was the reasoning behind having your own platform versus having perhaps your own channel on Spotify or YouTube or something like that?
We wanted it that way since the beginning. Of course, that came across our minds, but then you wouldn't own your content, and then you wouldn't be able to implement this magic of interaction, of data, of recommending the content that the children really need. And as many of you maybe know, the podcast industry, it's very hard on discoverability. Like it's very hard to be found in this ocean of content. So just to own our content and our costume and our listeners, it's actually the foundation of helping them and truly giving them the content that they're going to need for their own emotional development.
Nice.
So just a follow-up question about that. First of all, great pitch. Thank you for that. I think there's a lot of things that make a good pitch. And one of them is,
Any other questions while Paula takes a moment?
What is your go-to-market strategy? As you have a lot of organic interest already. How you think about reaching from the children and the parents?
Yes, of course, we're trying the traditional advertising. We're trying to A/B testing that to know where to speak to them. But the best thing I think is there to still keep the organic strategy, but putting it more in a referral program way, because we know that many of our users come because of word of mouth, and that's how we have reached our first 4,000 listeners. So we want to really capitalize that and make it automatized, and how maybe you can keep being in Cuentología, but you can bring more people to be part of this. So just designing a very creative and loyal and smart referral program, that's the organic one. And with the paying one, we really we really like to explore the podcast advertising, like Anna was saying. I was super interested in the things she was saying, and co-creating more kind of with the hosts of parenting podcasts around it. And also influencers. I know they're still out there, parenting influencers. Like if you're a parent or a mother here, you'll understand that the parent recommendation is gold. Like friends of mine just give me, oh, I use this sunblock, and I just go and buy the same sunblock. So it's super powerful, and we would like to make paid a strategy around becoming or having influencers become more brand ambassadors. And they just have them recommending or keep recommending Cuentología to their audiences.
Paula, are you ready for question?
Yeah, I realized that was literally my question. I was gonna ask how you were gonna reach more customers. So just to say to finish my thought, like during your pitch, I think you really appealed to my emotions, and that was really powerful. Like from like the first slide, when you were just showing that slide, that made me want to just hear the whole thing, and getting the spectator's emotions, that's so powerful as you go through the pitch. So no, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula.
Great job, Ursula.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for the questions and the time.
Yes, congrats on all the traction. Again, keep us posted. I'm so excited to see what's coming in the months ahead for each of you. That concludes our live pitches. We have a poll to help you everybody vote on what was your favorite pitch. And again, we're not here to compete. We're here to celebrate everybody, but you may have had a favorite pitch. So we'd love for you to vote in that poll. And as the poll launches, just want to give another round of applause to each of you for the bravery that you have to pitch today. And I loved seeing the live demos that you're able to share. And again, it's just so impressed by all of the tools and products you're building. So any other parting words from our VC panel as we wait for people to put their vote in?
Yeah, just thank you for all this. Yeah, a pitch is also repetition and just getting better at it. So thank you so much for putting yourself out there, showing up here and going through the pitch and listening to the feedback, which I know it's not always easy just on the spot. So thank you so much for being here.
And also love the promoters here asking a very promotive question from our VC and panels here, because oftentimes on our underrepresented female funders that we hear, there's more challenging question versus promoting question. So I just proud for all of the panel here and asking promoting questions to make the pitch even seems to be easier, but I know it's a lot of repetition, a lot of practice. One final thing, if founders want to drop your how to get a hold of you in this chat here, feel free to do so. And there's more on promoting and sharing your story later.
I have to say, I wish this existing woman in voice existed when I was building my company. And so this is such a safe and uplifting environment to get pitched to. And it's thank you, Women in Voice. Yeah.
Well, and thank you to all of you for coming. We've got our votes are in, and Kindspace has won the favorite pitch of today. So congrats to Caroline, building wellness tools to help people feel less lonely. I love meeting folks who have been building during the pandemic and responding to real life challenges. So kudos to all that you're doing. Kudos to each of you founders for pitching. We're gonna go ahead and put some of these links in the chat for you as well. And I think Kayla has a few parting slides for us as we close out. If you like today's event, we have more coming up. There's one more big opportunity to connect with the Women in Voice community this year, and that's on December 1st. It's at our Innovation Lab. So our Alexa startups will be back with us, but also we'll have, it'll be a global community event for our global community at Women in Voice. So it'll be a chance to come hear a few brief tech talks and enjoy some networking with these amazing women in our extended family, our extended community. So we'll put the link to sign up for that, and we'll send out this recording to everybody who signed up. And Kayla, any other announcements that I'm missing?
Yeah, so we're also very excited for our mentor matchup for next year. So keep a lookout for the sign up form for that. Will be coming soon. And lastly, announced today, get excited and sign up for the wait list to get notified for updates on our Women in Voice 2023 Summit, which will be virtual and in person this next year. So we look forward to seeing you there.
Cool. All right. Thanks everyone for your time. We have given you a few minutes back, but I know that an hour and a half is a long time to be on the screen. So thank you for your patience and your perseverance. So delighted to host these events with Alexa Startups. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.